Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the Champions Report. This is on the WBO, the World Boxing Organization, as I will discuss all champions and title belts from the WBO from 122 pounds all the way to heavyweight. This is the second edition of 2024, it's a bi-monthly report that I always do. Before we get into that, though, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, this Champions Report, again, bi-monthly. We're here at the end of April, heading into May. A lot going on with WBO titles, all the way from 122 to heavyweight. We're going to start at 122 pounds and discuss each title belt and their champions all the way through. So let's get it started. So the first championship we look at is the 122 pound super bantamweight world title, which is still currently held by the undefeated, reigning and undisputed super bantamweight champion Naoya Inoue. Remember, he captured the title in in July of last year when he knocked out Stephen Fulton Jr. and in December became the undisputed champ. Well, Inoue is going to be fighting in about 6 days on Monday, May 6th, where he'll make the first defense of the undisputed title. It'll be the second of the WBO belt, when he battles his WBC mandatory challenger, Luis Nery, and also he's a former two-division world champion. I did a breakdown video on this fight. Go watch that so you can see in detail what I think of this fight. But honestly, I think Naoya Inoue is going to knock out Luis Nery in this one. I just think he's in his prime and he's just too good. And I think he's going to beat Luis Nery handily, knock him out, and retain the WBO and undisputed super bantamweight world title. Hopefully by the next Champions Report at the end of June, we know who he's plotting out as his next opponent for later in the year. So we'll keep you posted. Or if Luis Nery pulls out the upset, we'll see what happens. Next, at 126 pounds featherweight, still the reigning and undefeated champion is Rafael Espinosa, who captured the title back in December, when he scored a hard-fought 12-round decision win over Robesi Ramirez to capture the WBO belt. He has not defended it since, but it looks like his first defense is coming, and I think they're shooting for June. It looks like June 21st or 22nd from what the report is, that he's looking at June to defend his title against number 2 contender in the WBO, Sergio Sanchez, and it might serve as his mandatory defense because his number 1 contender, Arnold K-Guy, is currently in discussions to fight in an IBF title eliminator. So Sanchez is a decent Mexican fighter. He's only got 1 loss on his resume to Mauricio Lara. So that would be an interesting scrap right there. Really looking forward to it. If it happens before the next Champions Report, which is at the end of June, I would predict Espinosa to win the fight and retain his title, but the fight still needs to be finalized. This is a report that I read that was about 3 weeks ago, so we'll see. I haven't heard anything confirmed, but we'll see, and hopefully that's what happens for Espinosa. 130 pounds, super featherweight. The reigning champion there is Emanuel Navarrete. Now, we do not know when this title is going on the line, because Navarrete on May 18th is moving up to 135 to challenge for the vacant WBO title there. If he is victorious over Dennis Barianchik, most people believe he will vacate the 130-pound title, give it up, and then interim champion Oscar Valdez will be upgraded to full champion. Valdez defeated Liam Wilson in March, stopped them in 7 rounds to become the interim champion. Now, if Valdez is upgraded, I believe that's what's going to happen. I believe Navarrete will beat Barianchik, and then Valdez will be upgraded to full champ. And if that does indeed happen, I think Valdez, we might not know by the next Champions Report, but I think discussions are going to start for Valdez to square off against O'Shaquie Foster in a title unification bout, or he might end up making a mandatory defense against #1 contender Albert Bell. So we'll see what happens. A lot's riding on the May 18th thing, but I do believe we're going to have a new champion by the next Champions Report, and I believe it's going to be Oscar Valdez. 135 lightweight. The title is currently vacant, but as I just said, Emanuel Navarrete, the junior lightweight champ, is moving up to 135 in his next bout to challenge undefeated Dennis Berianchek for the vacant lightweight championship of the world. That headlines an ESPN card. I'm picking Navarrete to win this fight, but I do think Berianchek is a live underdog and has a real chance of pulling off the victory. He's the more natural lightweight. He's part of that Olympic team from the Ukraine that was Vasyl Lomachenko, Alexander Vodsik, Alexander Usyk, and also included, as I said, Dennis Berianchek. So it should be an interesting fight. I'm really looking forward to it on May 18th. And after that, I think the direction for the winner is potentially a unification bout with the winner of Vasyl Lomachenko and George Kambosos Jr. for the IBF title, which most people feel is going to be Loma. So we'll see what's going on by the next Champions Report with the WBO lightweight title. At 140, junior welterweight, the reigning champion there is still Tiimo Lopez. Lopez came out and there was news that he was going to fight a Canadian fighter named Steve Claggett in a title defense in June, late June. But that fight has not been finalized, and I think part of the reason why is because Claggett is not a legitimate challenger for that title, does not deserve it, and most people view that as a breeze for Tiimo Lopez right there. Haven't heard anything final. That was a few weeks ago when that was a potential thing, and saying that they were finalizing a deal, but have not heard anything for sure. I'm hoping that's not the case, but if it is, I think Lopez is going to end up destroying Claggett and knocking him out if that fight does go forward. Again, I'm hoping it doesn't. I think Lopez should fight somebody more credible, but we'll see what happens. Right now, I'm on the fence like 50-50 that it's going to happen or not, so we'll see. But if it does happen, I think Lopez wins easily and will still be champ at the next Champions Report. 147 welterweight. The reigning undefeated and unified champion is still Terence "Bud" Crawford, but there is Crawford news now. Crawford on August 3rd is going to move up to 154 pounds and challenge for the WBA title there against Ismail Madrimov and the vacant WBO interim belt. Now, if he's victorious, he will be in line for Sebastian Fundora, which is a big deal. And I believe if he's victorious, he's staying at super welterweight. I think for the time being, the WBO is going to allow him to stay champion at welterweight until he officially moves up to 154, and then they're going to make him choose. He would give up the belt then, and then Giovanni Santillan would fight for the vacant title at that moment against whoever the next available contender is. So we'll see what happens by the next Champions Report. That fight will still not be done, so we just have to wait and see what goes down for the welterweight championship. 154 is super welterweight. Well, we touched on it a little bit, but the reigning and unified champion is Sebastian Fundora, who also holds the WBC belt. He is the new champion. He captured the belt, both titles, with a hard-fought and bloody 12-round decision win over Tim Tszyu. He took the WBO title from Tszyu. The WBC title was vacant. He broke his nose in that fight, so after the fight, he was technically suspended to let his nose heal. Terence Crawford was next in line, but it was going to take too long for Crawford to get the fight with him. So instead, Crawford's moving towards Ismail Madrimov and wants to fight Fundora, but it likely wouldn't be next. My honest opinion is that Fundora later in the year is probably going to fight Errol Spence Jr., but that's not for sure, but I'm hoping by the next Champions Report we have a better idea of what's going to go down with Fundora. 160 middleweight. The reigning and undefeated champion there is Janabek Alamanhalai, style. He is returning, we do not know when he's returning to action. There still is no announcement. Nothing's been, you know, settled or anything. No IBF, no WBO, nothing. And it's been a shame because I really want to see Janibek come back. I know Hamza Shiraz is returning, is fighting against Austin Ammo Williams. They're fighting in June to determine, you know, when and Shiraz is already the #1 ranked contender in the WBO, so that might be what Janibek is waiting around for. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping by the next Champions Report we know who he's fighting and when, so we'll see. 168 super middleweight, the reigning WBO and undisputed champion is Canelo Alvarez still. Canelo returns in just a few days on May 4th to make the next defense of his undisputed crown against his WBO mandatory challenger, undefeated former junior middleweight champion Jaime Munguia. All Mexican showdown right here. It's going to be a good fight. Really looking forward to it. My personal opinion is that Canelo is going to knock out Munguia or beat him by a decision. I do believe Munguia is a live underdog, but I think Canelo retains his belt. And hopefully by the next Champions Report, we have a good idea of who Canelo is going to fight next. But we got to see if he's still going to be champ against, again, May 4th. He's squaring off against Jaime Munguia. 175 light heavyweight, the reigning WBO and unified light heavyweight champion is still Artur Beterbiev. And we got the fantastic news that Beterbiev is returning June 1st in an all-4 belt undisputed title unification bout when he battles undefeated WBA champion Dimitri Bivol. Finally, these two guys are going to get it on. Main event from Saudi Arabia, undisputed light heavyweight title. My honest opinion, you're going to have to wait for the breakdown video on who I think is going to be the next champion by the next Champions Report, but I do believe it's a 50-50 fight. Really looking forward to it. So go check that fight out on June 1st, pay-per-view. 200 pounds, Cruiserweight. The reigning champion there is Richard Riekpour, and he came out that he is going to make a mandatory defense of his title against the only man to ever defeat him back in 2019. I'm sorry, Chris Billum-Smith is the champion. He's going to be fighting Richard Riekpour in a rematch from their 2019 split decision win that Riekpour had. Billum-Smith is going to try to avenge his only career defeat in this fight. It's on June 15th. It's going to be a good one. Really looking forward to it. Since I'm not doing a breakdown video on this rematch, I will let you know that I'm leaning towards Riekpour to win the rematch again. But I do believe it could go either way. June 15th, WBO Cruiserweight title will be on the line, and we'll see what's going on by the next Champions Report and who the champion is. And heavyweight. The heavyweight championship of the world is still currently held by the undefeated unified champion Alexander Usyk, but on May 18th, he has the biggest fight of his career when he squares off against undefeated WBC heavyweight champion Tyson Fury. Undisputed title is on the line for the first time in a 4-belt era we're going to have an undisputed heavyweight champion, and also the first time in 25 years we're going to have an undisputed heavyweight champion, period. Great fight. Can't wait to see it. I've already done a breakdown video, so I'll let you know. I'm picking Tyson Fury to be the next WBO champion. I think he'll be the WBO champion by the next Champions Report, but I do think Usyk has a very good chance of pulling this victory off. Can't wait to see it. Gonna be good. So make sure you tune in. So that's it. That's the WBO Champions Report. That's for the second edition of 2024. So I will see you back at the end of June, and I hope you enjoyed the video. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.